Welcome to the start of a brand new anime review series. This is Chainsaw Man! Anime Review Episode Number 1. Reviewing the very first episode of this brand new anime created by MAPPA. Yes, MAPPA did Chainsaw Man. You're probably thinking, MAPPA, that sounds familiar as a studio. Yes, yes it is. And do you want to know why that is? Well, this is the company that gave us the most recent season of Attack on Titan and Jujutsu Kaisen. No, seriously. Those two really good anime. Yep. Isn't that something, though? Yep. So this is technically from this company the third anime I've actually watched from the studio. Yep. The first being, I believe it was... like Attack on Titan final season. Yeah, basically, that was the first one. That was basically almost 2 years ago that I pretty much watched that. hmm And that was pretty much the very first show I had ever watched from them. Oh, yeah, definitely. And then it was basically Jujutsu Kaisen. And now it is basically this one. Yeah, I also heard Reputation. This studio is taking a lot of anime on. Like in the past few years. Like basically like any major manga adaptation for an anime is being done by this studio. And despite the stuff I did see for some images I see where supposedly this is on CGI, that's not the case. Nope, that is not the case at all. Okay, the episode starts out quite interestingly by something you would see in video games. Now, in the case of an anime, this is probably the first anime I've ever seen where it opens like this. We open with a first person perspective of probably Denji, the main character of the series, just walking a hallway, opens a door, and then you see him wake up on when he sleep on his mattress he sleeps on. Yes, this guy is pretty much dirt poor. He barely scrapes by, and apparently his father has accumulated a humongous amount of debt. That's really later on in the episode. So we start with that, and then we cut to basically seeing him just walking through town, and then he comes across a devil. Yes, a tomato devil is what it's called. And he proceeds to take his chainsaw devil, this basically this little dog he's got, and he proceeds to slice the creature up, and it's sold by the Yakuza. He's like, okay, 400,000, great. But according to his boss, the one who hired him as a devil hunter, he has to deduct, well, for finder's fee, stuff for his debt, a whole bunch. But prior to this, they do mention apparently he's been trying to pay up this massive amount of debt that his father accumulated, and because his father died, he has to take up the basic responsibility. So in order to pay portions of this, he sold off his eye, a kidney, and I kid you not, one of his freaking nuts from his groin. I'm like, seriously, dude, that's stupid. I mean, the eye and the kidney thing is one thing, but the nut too? That's so stupid. But don't worry, this gets fixed, so don't worry about that. So, right after basically they take care of that, and of course, after like saying, oh yeah, by the way, he survived by eating a piece of bread. Yes, just one slice of bread. That's apparently all he could afford on his tiny budget. And he basically, after all those expenses that take out that massive amount of stuff he got for that one corpse, he apparently only has about 70,000 yen. Now you might be curious though, like And this is a very good question. How much is basically 70,000 yen? That is roughly $474.63. That's basically U.S. currency. Here's one for you. 400,000. Basically 400,000 what you just earned. $2,000. Yep. Like about $3,000. That's basically what he got thanks to, well, equivalent to basically U.S. currency. It also mentioned he apparently sold off his groin, like one of his nuts, for like $1 million. Yes, seriously, like his eye was like 100,000. And apparently it looks like he has like a little over like 38, looks like 38 million. Yeah, apparently 38 million is how much basically. So apparently, for his death, for his remaining death, this is how much money he owns according to U.S. currency: $257,656.80. That's how much basically he had left to pay, and apparently, somewhat of the fee basically just go towards debt. So he had about 1,800 left. Now, okay, how much is 1,800? You might ask. 1,800 is, and he says he had survived this over the course of 1 month, $12.20. Like, damn, no wonder why he's dirt poor. He basically spends a lot of money on, well, stuff he has to basically spend it on. So, then of course he's basically offered 100,000, a little more survival, a little longer. Just do one thing: swallow a cigarette. I am not kidding. Though he doesn't swallow it anyway. Basically, he assumes he swallows it. Then he spits it right back out. And they also show that he does cough up blood in the episode, where he says his mom apparently had it prior to her death. Now, who his mother was, they don't really say. This is not in the manga. If I remember reading it, his father and his parents are only mentioned in just the opening chapter. And as far as I can tell by reading it, I've been reading the manga recently. There has been no mention of his parents at all beyond the first chapter. It's like they're just forgotten about as soon as basically, like, well, the main portion of the story basically kicks off. So, then of course he's relaxing at home. He's just like sleeping. He's not even sleeping very long. And then his boss comes by. By the way, they do make a slight change here where in the manga they actually show the boss knocking at the door and saying the same as the dialogue. In the anime, they just hear from the outside. They rides in his car, takes him to a warehouse where supposedly a devil is for him to kill. But before this, basically, they do show how he got his hands on Pucci. That is his devil chainsaw he basically has. So he had to figure out a way to earn 700. I think it was like 700,000. I think it was. So he's there in this field. Looks. I think this cross is supposed to be his late father's grave. As for like, if this was, they don't really say, just some random grave next to a tree in the middle of nowhere. And it comes across Pucci, and they form a contract with each other in exchange for healing him. And of course, Pucci goes along with no problem. Then, basically, after killing one of the devils, basically he tells his current boss, hire me as devil hunter and I'll pay off debt. He's probably like, okay, fine. Cool. We got a good deal. And just walk to the warehouse, and there's another change here, which I got to point out. So, They do make a slight change here when it comes to wording of dialogue. Excuse me, this is by far according to the English dub, by the way. And if you're curious, though, who voices Denji himself? Well, he is voiced by Karin Strange. Yeah. Poochie is voiced to basically Poochie does make a brief voice appearance by somebody who actually I met just this year, Lindsay Seidel. Yeah, Poochie just appears just in his opening chapter. To my knowledge, Poochie probably appeared, I think he just appeared in flashbacks per se, but most of the he just attached. He just basically, well, he's there mostly. hmm Yeah, but Poochie, as he currently was, is gone by this end of this episode. And we do see debut another character, which I'll get to her. hmm Now, Tomato Devil, which is the first episode that counts to the series, he's only in just the first chapter, and that's it. Yeah, like he's there, and here's the thing: he never returns. Then our Devil Person's episode does basically appear. So they're in the warehouse, and he basically his boss basically his dialogue. It's like so he preached how loyal he's been all the years he served with him, and then he proceeds to say, "Oh yeah, like how about dog? Can't stand the stench." Now in the manga he says can't stand the smell, and then he gets poked through the back by a freaking katana. Yes, he gets stabbed right through the back and through Poochie. In the manga, they actually kind of show who it is. Like, oh, okay. It's like comes completely out of the blue. In the anime, you just hear like a big, like you hear a sound, and you wonder what the heck that was. And he gets stabbed by a sword. Then of course, oh yeah, his boss actually formed a contract with the zombie devil. Who, by the way, is, if you hear the voice in English dub, it's Frieza from Dragon Ball Z. Yes, seriously, it's the same voice actor. I was kind of surprised to hear the voice in this one because this one is known for doing Funimation dubs, not usually Crunchyroll dubs. I found that be interesting. So, basically, like, he unleashes the zombies on him. Of course, we need to chop him up when he tries to run away. And then his body is dumped. It's basically, his pieces of his body is dumped in a dumpster. And you have his head hanging upside, which, by the way, this is in the manga too. And blood drips to Poochie's mouth. And then we hear the only time in the whole entire series we actually hear Poochie speak. Where basically, it's shown the flashback where you see Poochie act like a regular chainsaw. Where it's not slicing devils, basically chopping down a tree. And, well, it basically, we have Denji telling Poochie, like, if I die, take my body. Don't want the outcome to take hands on it. And Poochie agrees to that. But slightly, it does make a slight change to the contract. Where Poochie ends up using his own body, taking up Denji's heart, to refuse his body. And then he comes out where he's completely healed. His eye is back. Presumably his kidney and groin basically are intact now. So he comes out. And then we have the zombies gang up him once again. And then he unleashes his Chainsaw Man form. We see this debut in the anime. Which, let me show you if you have never seen this thing. Basically, he becomes this. Yeah, that's his regular form per se. Now, by the way, in the scene, he's shirtless. And the way his transformation is like this. You see like a big looked like a pull tag on his chest. That was actually Poochie's tail to activate the chainsaw. So he pulls it, and his head turns to a freaking chainsaw along with his arms. He slices up all the zombies, including the zombie devil, in this somewhat gory scene. But it's really enjoyable. And then, of course, like the very next day, Chainsaw Man is still, well, Denji is still in Chainsaw Man form. And then we see the debut of a brand new. Now they do add it in here because in the manga this car just randomly shows up outside the building. In the anime, we actually see it come in, which I do appreciate Map adding that in. And we see the debut of Makatama. Yes, a public security devil hunter, who is voiced by Suzy Young. Yep, Suzy Young. Who, by the way, in ReZero, well, in Prophecy of the Throne, the video game. Okay, she's actually, like, aside from this series that I have seen her in, well, she's currently in the most recent season for Attack on Titan. She's also in Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen voiced Tatsumi Fujiro. In Attack on Titan, she's Lara Tabo. Let's see. Oh, she's also Sasuna in I've Been Killing Slimes for 300 years at maximum levels. Basically, this is like the 4th anime I've heard her in. Yep. And she's here. And she very like, oh, I guess I'm going to be this zombie devil. Of course, she sees the Chainsaw Man, walks up to him, and he says, hold me. Of course, they have a slight different camera angle than they do in the manga, where then he transfers back, and basically he's lying in her lap. And then she offers him 2 choices. Number 1, be killed and chopped to pieces. Or 2, become her pet and be properly fed. And he takes second choice, and that's the end of the episode. Great episode. Love it. Very faithful adaptation of the very first chapter of the series. Which, by the way, the first chapter is 50 pages. And you're probably thinking, 50 pages? That's roughly equivalent to about 2.5 chapters. True, definitely. Now, this you might find interesting, though. Okay? How many anime have I watched where the opening episode just adapts to the opening chapter of the series? The answer is not many of them, per se. The other anime that I could think of, I've come across, where in the opening episode we have the adaptation of just the opening chapter and no other chapters. There's been a few. 7 Deadly Sins come to mind with the opening episode where that has just the opening chapter of the series. There is also... It's not JoJo, no. I'm trying to think here. What JoJo? Oh, I think Fairy Tail did that for its opening episode where it adapts like 1 chapter. Oh, Seraph the End did the same thing too, except that chapter was longer than this one. The first chapter of Seraph the End was 80 freaking pages. Yeah, that's equivalent to about 4 chapters. 4 chapters, 1 episode. Excuse me. Yeah, a lot of the early chapters for Seraph the End were really long. And you might be asking about Attack on Titan, the same company, same show that makes this one. You probably think, okay, did the opening episode of Attack on Titan, did this, was this one basically like, did this one adapt just the opening chapter? No. This actually adapts the first 2 chapters of the series. So, Bleach, I believe, did for the opening episode. One Piece, no. Well, the opening chapter was a little later. Naruto, I believe that one did that one. What about Dragon Ball? Maybe, I'm not really sure, but there's been some per se, but not a lot of them. I know definitely Hunter x Hunter did. I think that was like the first 2 chapters, 2 or 3 chapters, I think it was. Yeah, not many times come across this, but this only is the second series I've watched where the opening chapter was longer than a normal chapter, and then by basically the next chapter, the pages get shorter, which is nice. But definitely a good episode. I can't wait for the next week's episode, which you might be thinking, is that a debut of the character Power? You might ask. Well, yes. That's her first appearance. Episode 2. Which this one skips some stuff. Yeah, I don't know why, but it does. But yeah, definitely looking forward to the next episode, so I'll see you there for that one. Next up is a Comic Corner. Yep, first of 3. I might not get time to do all 3 in time, but I'm going to get done maybe the first, 1 or 2 of them. Okay, next video. Bye.